Yes, we're being recorded, folks.
Cool.
Okay, do you know who all is, Valerie's gonna be late. Valerie's gonna be late, and I know Alan's not coming.
Alan is in Bali.
Bali.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
He was everywhere. He's been, if you're on Facebook friends with him, he's been traveling like, I mean, talk about a dude that's taking care of his retirement well.
Yeah.
In 3 consecutive weeks last year, he was in Antarctica, Alaska, and Boston.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a lot of miles.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Okay, I think we have a quorum then in terms of all the board members, voting board members, current board members, I should say. So I'm going to go ahead and call us to order. Thank you all for coming, everybody. We have a lot to go over, a lot to discuss, and Valerie's going to be a little bit late. She'll be here around 7:45, so we're going to hold off on the treasurers. I got another cat coming. Hold on. So the first item we need to do is approve the minutes from the September 19th meeting. And Julie sent those all out to everybody. I don't think she had any corrections sent to her.
Can you bring me a napkin, please?
Yeah. So can I would accept a motion to it.
I move to accept the meeting minutes from September 19th.
I second.
Okay, Dan seconded. All in favor of approving the minutes from the September meeting, please vote yes. Hold up your hand. All right. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, they pass. Okay.
You're done?
Yeah, I'm happy of that.
I'm going to turn on my volume because I'm making noise eating.
I know. It's waiting.
To tell you to be quiet.
Okay, it's okay. Okay, so we're going to skip the treasurer's report and we're going to go straight to upcoming events. Start with Daniel for Dual this weekend.
Okay, so I mean, things are going fine. We're all pretty much ready to go. I need to pick up the t-shirts as soon as I find out they're ready. I have the awards. Jeff's in place. I don't know what my volunteer list looks like, but I don't need more than a handful. So I've got 2 issues I need to address. The first one is, what is my response for cups? I encouraged people to bring a water bottle, and I said we're going to try to make it cupless. I didn't say eco-friendly, but this is a race that says basically you have a aid station. You have an aid station set up every quarter mile. So I don't want people to not be able to drink water because they forgot to bring a water bottle. So my thoughts are, we're going to encourage people to have their water bottles. I know there's going to be a cupless conversation later in the meeting, and I have an opinion here, probably one that will not be as popular as some of the others. But I just want to know how to proceed on Sunday. My feeling is I'm just going to bring cups and we're going to have them ready and people can use them. But these are people running fast and they're not going to want to dick around with bottles and stuff. So I feel like, well, we're encouraging it, but I just can't in good conscience not have cups around. So that's how I want to handle that. Are there any problems with that?
And we have thousands of 4, 6, 8 ounce, something like that cups at the storage. You do not need to buy any.
Right. Bring a few hundred 6 ounces and we'll be in great shape.
Yep.
What is the weather forecast for Sunday? Because I've been out of town.
A little bit of everything right now.
Okay.
Kind of like today was, which is not encouraging because it was my one concern moving this thing to October.
Yeah, but it's not going to be hot, so that's in our favor for people consuming water.
Well, yeah, there's that. So yes, Joe.
We're bringing 16 people Sunday. 4 different teams. And so I appreciate, Daniel, that you're gonna have the cups. You
Well,
know,
my
we're very
problem-
much
and
we're
here's
very
the
much
thing.
a pro cup thing, just
We have-
reasons that you mentioned, but we appreciate that you're gonna have that.
We have a lot of 4-man teams, and we have a lot of people doing the 10K. And my concern is, what my concern always is with this race, is that the extra events that I've had as tag along events will foreshadow the signature event, which is the 2-person relay. And that's always been the 2-person relay. So my concern was, we don't want to drown the 2-person relay in a 3-ring circus here. But
It's gonna be a circus. It's gonna be a circus. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be so much.
but
I'm
also
promising everybody it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great.
the 4-person relay is a pilot project. So we'll see how it goes and what we have to do to adjust it. But we have to try it once to see if it's even going to be a good idea or not. I'm not encouraged by it at the moment, but
Okay, well,
but
sorry.
we have not had this event of any kind for 3 years. So I just want to get people to show up however I can get them there. And I will assure you, the people that do show up will have a good time.
Yeah.
And that's where I am right now with it. So so that part, there's that part. And we are all pretty much close to break even already. I don't see a lot of comp entries yet, but I'm sure those will come. And our day of race is what gives us our profit for this, but I'm less worried about that. This race is not caught. We're pretty much on budget. I spent a little extra money on ribbons. I would like to, we've never had any kind of food at this event unless it was a special event. And I still don't think I want to, but since it's a 50th anniversary, I thought maybe some cakes would be in order. And I discussed that with Tracy on Sunday, or whenever I talked to her. I think it might have been yesterday. I need somebody to make a Costco run for me on Saturday that can store 2 cakes. And I will pick up I have no refrigerator. My refrigerator is in my kitchen, is for show. I don't use it. It's not even plugged in because my house has autism. So I don't have room to store 2 cakes in a refrigerator. But if somebody has a Costco card and would like to pick up 2 cakes for me and bring them, I will pick up some plates, cups, and some kind of a portable knife, or unless the club owns a knife. Last time I brought my own knife to the race, I never got it back. So but I will bring that part, and so we can have cake and water. But we should celebrate the 50th anniversary. So do I have a volunteer to help me with cakes?
Daniel,
would be-
at storage, there's plenty of knives also.
And I'm wondering, Daniel, would it be possible to pick up the cake on Sunday if you're doing the Hillsborough, or what Costco would be close enough to Catlin Gable?
It would all depend upon who the volunteer is. If it was
I can
me,
do-
I would go to the Aloha one because it's like 2 miles away and I can
Okay.
get it. I will already be at the park before any of that opens. Joe?
I think
Yeah.
Costco opens at 10. We're regular Costco. I think they open at 10. So, and
Oh,
so
it opens at 10.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm going to be there early, but so I don't have a refrigerator area for storing the cake, and I'm up in Vancouver. So, but would be more than happy to help out in any way that I can. But
In between Vancouver and Catlin Gable, there is no Costco. Dave Cook lives up in the West Hills, and I see him at the Aloha one all the time. So that's where, because he said that's the closest one. So if we have no cake volunteer, then we probably will forego the cake idea, so that we can just go ahead and move on, because I can't pick it up and I can't refrigerate it. So
is there going to be a sheltered area where you would be able to do that?
that's a conversation between Hal and I. We're going to look at the weather report on Friday.
Yep.
And if that happens to be the case, then we will bring every tent we have in there, and we'll probably be having people, volunteers, putting up pop tents, and that's probably what we're going to do. It's never been a problem for this race because it's always held in the middle of
Yeah, I
summer.
remember.
The only
Yeah.
issue I've ever had with this race in terms of weather has been, is it going to be in the hundreds? So, yeah, I've never had this as an issue. Okay, so let me talk about, yeah.
We can, if nobody else can do it, we can do the cake thing.
I get one carrot cake for people who are less chocolate or vanilla friendly, and then the other one can be whatever's there.
One of them's gonna be chocolate, if I'm getting it.
Chocolate and carrot. Sounds like we have a winner.
All right, one carrot cake, one chocolate cake, got it.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a misconception about, yes, Joe.
Oh, we can bring bananas, if you want. Would that be okay? Would that be okay to bring bananas?
Yeah, bring bananas.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna be going, so we'll bring a bunch.
As long as
we'll-
I don't have to worry about it, I'm fine with it. As long as they're
Okay.
healthy and
We'll bring bananas.
they're, that's fine with me.
Okay.
There's been a misconception about this event, and I think some of the publicity went out a little erroneously about whether a two-person team or there's any event at 10 o'clock is going to have walkers that are not race walkers. When we have had walkers in the past during the regular dual, it has been chaos. And that's why we've never had a regular walking event during the dual. And that's why I added the 9 a.m. stride. But typically when I advertise the race, I say two-person race walk. And some of the publicity went out that said two-person walk. And so I'm really getting nervous because it's messy when we have non-race walkers at the 10 o'clock event. And I'm sure we're going to with all the 4-person teams we have. So I don't know how to handle that. Yes, Joe.
Teams. I'm talking about Bethany Athletic Club. It's a group I run with all the time. And we've got 4 teams, 4 people each, and they're all pretty much runners. They're runners. So you don't have to worry about walkers in that. There's one, yeah, they're all runners.
I don't think I talked.
4 of the teams, 4 of the 6 teams that are signed up so far are all runners.
I used to run with that group years ago, so I know who you're talking about. When I lived,
Bethany Athletic Club, really?
when I was a member, when I was a charter member there, dude.
Bethany Athletic, really?
I live a mile and a half from there, man.
Oh, wow.
I think we can address that on race day if there are teams. I think if there's, depending on how many teams there are, if we're talking about the 6 teams doing the quad, if you have 4 of them and we have 2, we know our 2 are mostly runners slash.
It's not just the quad. It's the dual races. It's the 10K. And I'm trying to be nice, but I don't. It's a safety issue right now. And the only time I ever allowed it was when Ralph Brown and Kathy Gardner wanted to walk it. And what they did, it ended up doing was walking it in lane 8 and together and doubling their time because I couldn't say no to Ralph. And back then we finished the race in lane 8. So I told them that once people start finishing, to move to the inside, because now we do have one rule in the race, which is helpful, which is we pass on the right. So the slower runners have the right of way. So that might mitigate some of it. And let's just understand the most number of runners we're going to have here is 65, and half of them are going to be on the infield. So it's not going to be, I don't think, too big a traffic. It's not going to be like the 45th anniversary one where we had 125 people.
Yeah.
But when I start seeing walking team people saying, well, we're going to walk it, I'm like, I hope you're race walkers.
Yeah.
We did get out to Carmen Jakinski's group, the Race Rockers Northwest. She has 4 2-person teams coming. I say it's going to be judged. She is not walking it herself. I talked to her, but she said she would judge kind of. And I don't necessarily need anybody to officially, with a pad of paper like George used to do, say, Neener, you ran. If anybody does get three strikes and you're out. We just reclass them as runners. So nobody gets anything there. We haven't had any other negative comment, but my concern about the walking is real because it's a safety hazard and it could be a nightmare. So I wanted to bring that out, that is a concern of mine. Hopefully the people that were there are going to be doing the stride at 9, and that's what I'm hoping for. And then we'll make an announcement. The way it will work is we'll open the stride at 9. At 9:50, we will make an announcement. You're on your last lap, so people can finish the stride, be in by 9:55. We will do the kids run, and then immediately go right into the dual. The first runner on the team will be running the extra 110-yard overrun. And we will also need a setup, and this is for Jeff, we'll need a setup at halfway because the 10K is, I'm sorry, the 5K stride is 12 and a half laps. So we'll need to measure that when we get there. Other than that, the race is easy to do. So, and Hal's going to help me with the equipment. We now have cake people. We have, I think we're going to be on budget, at least probably a little under. I'm meeting Catlin Gable that Friday morning. I think I'm meeting them Friday morning to get the keys. I need to call them because Friday morning is a non-school day. But I think the staff is in. So I think there's people there. I just don't know. I know they're not, kids aren't there. But anyways, any questions? I ordered 45 shirts. I had 3 orders at the time. I had to give them my number, so I threw a dart. But I threw it based on Tracy just sent out the shirt numbers for Turkey Trot, and I just used those proportions. And yes, Joe.
So the baton's going to have a chip in it?
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. Other question is, you have any suggestions for keeping track of your laps? Is that we're going to do a little table or something, but do you have any others?
We have 2 options. One is you trust Jeff, or 2 is you grab a piece of paper that I will have that has a chart on it.
Okay.
And somebody's a timekeeper, and they either just write check, or they write the time if you want to know the times.
Yep.
Since we're chip timing it, Jeff will have a split breakdown. And I don't have any funky hood to coast rules. So if people want to run multiple laps in a row, I'm not going to be able to monitor that, and I'm not going to be judge and jury. I'm hoping that there's at least a handoff every time somebody comes through the zone.
So is that okay to do? Because we on one team with Fabiola and I, we have one guy, Jay, he's a runner. He's bringing his son. His son's a runner, but he just may not want to do one of them or something. So it's
everybody should do at least 10 laps.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see. Okay.
If somebody goes down, if you have a 3-man team, then you have to make it's hood to coast. I have to make it up somehow.
Did you say you're going to have splits for each lap? At the end you can see that there is with the results.
Jeff does that.
But we will be able to see results somewhere that show the splits.
Yes.
Really? That's awesome.
Every time you come across the mat,
you hear that, Joe? Joe, are you doing
recorded.
It? Wow.
Every time you come across the mat, it's recorded.
That is cool.
So as long as you're not coming across the thing with your baton before, and we're gonna need to have some. I don't know how we're gonna handle the warm-ups when the stride's going on, but I guess we tell people not to warm up with their batons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you. I'll tell everybody in our group. Yeah.
We will be. By the way, for the stride, we will be roping as soon as we get there. We're going to be roping off lane 4, and so the stride will take place on the inside 4 lanes. So the outside 5 through 7. We never get lane 8 because Jeff set up in lane 8. But that'll be your warm up area. But we don't want people messing with the walkers. I mean, I'm saying I've got a problem with the walkers in the 10K. I have to respect what they want to do in the stride.
They're going to go on the outside, right? Maybe going on the outside sounds really good.
The stride will take place on the inside laps.
Well, okay, so we'll have instructions for everybody at the event. So let me get going. Got to move on to Turkey Trot now.
Let's move on to Turkey Trot. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. Mark, turkey trot and how?
Turkey trot. Well, before, just a quick couple of things. I'm at work, so I may just kind of drop out. If I drop out, apologize for just work leaving, because I at some point I have to go back to work. Second thing is, I'm going to be I'm going to Italy. Leave Friday and gone for 2 weeks. So I want everything pretty much, in place before I go. And I will have some communication, but less so, because I'll be distracted by, ancient monuments and such. But anyway, just so y'all are aware of that. We'll be gone for the next 2 weeks. Turkey Trot, registration's just a little bit shy of 900 at this point, so we're on track to get 2,000 or better compared to past years. Dave, Hal, and I sat down and had a list of what needs to be done and who's going to do which, and we've divvied that up. There's still a couple key open spots for race day, and I'm putting out my pitch now, and I'll put this at, for some kind of leadership kind of positions to make the day successful. I consider Turkey Trot to be an all hands on deck kind of thing. So I'm reaching particular to board members to consider taking a leadership position. Hal is going to be responsible for setting up the course outside the zoo. We need someone to take responsibility to set up inside the zoo. That is from the zoo entrance to the actual finish line. So that's a position that's open. Bonnie has agreed to take care of the finish line food. So she's working on that, doing research and that sort of thing. And so then the other two positions that need to be filled are a lead at the Cascade Grill, which is where people come, pack and pick up and get the pies and such, and also the finish line / top trot. And both of those are positions that we need to be filled. How can I say? Historically, the lead RD, it's co-RD, but the lead RD has been at the Cascade Grill. So it would be a natural place for me to be. However, I have been finish line / top trot for maybe the last 7 or 8 years. So that's familiar to me. And so I could either take the finish line and teach someone what goes on at the Cascade Grill, or vice versa. But I guess I need those positions need to be filled. So I'm, if you want to, I'll put out an email in a day or two, but think about that, about what lead position you could take.
Hey, Mark, I'm planning on being there early so I can do the finish line setup.
Okay. So,
and then, so once that's done, is that something I could do to go over then to Cascade Grill and help out in some way?
Well, no, if you're going to be at the finish line, you'd stay at the finish line.
Okay.
That's the idea.
Okay.
And that for that position, it helps to visit the zoo before the day of, and we'd set up a day where we'd meet and go there together to physically walk around, and this goes there, that goes there, kind of a thing.
Perfect. Okay.
And then, so as far as, are you also willing to do the tot trot?
Oh, you want me to do both?
Well, I usually do both, because it's like, by the time the tot trot's at 9:15, so by then most people have finished, and basically it involves what I do is wearing a silly hat and leading a bunch of kids to run around. So
do I have to be faster than them?
No, you don't. Only for the first 10 yards.
Okay.
But if you have a silly turkey hat or something, that usually helps. Just to
Judy West has helped lead the tot trots in the past, and I think she was going to maybe see if she might be able to volunteer.
Okay.
Oh, Bonnie, could you ask her for me?
Great.
Okay, I'll contact her.
Okay.
Ask her, that way so Margie, you'd be responsible. How can I say, to be clear, that Bonnie is responsible for the food at the finish line, and Margie, you'd be responsible for everything else down there, setting up stuff. And I'll walk you. I got maps and I've done it, and I can show you. We can walk through it down the road. That leaves me at the Cascade Grill, and you still got one position inside the zoo. That's not won't take too long, but anyway, I don't take too much time other than saying we're on turkey trot's on track. Bonnie and I have already had a discussion about coffee, and that's going to tie into our couples discussion. I'll save that for later when we're talking about that, as far as coffee and couples and eco-friendly and what we're going to do with all of that. But any questions about turkey trot?
Okay.
Okay,
And
round
you,
run. We'll just
Bonnie,
keep talking.
Ralph's Run.
Bonnie and I met and we talked about Ralph's Run, and it's largely just some, how can I say that it's Y2K, but it's just the minor changes. The distances are slightly different. We're adding a 5K, adding a kids run. But essentially the event is familiar. And I've already got permit requests in for the county, city of Forest Grove, and the Forest Grove School District. So those permits are in process. And at this point, the only question, what I usually do is Bonnie and I are kicking around what to do about a gimme, because we've done kind of everything over the years. The shirt is optional, but you know, remember the blankets? One year everybody got a blanket, and sometimes years it was bags. So anyhow, Leslie Jordan has these mittens, and they're toasty warm, but if we'd get them on short notice, they'd be kind of spendy. It'd be less money if we had more time to order them. Anyway, what Bonnie and I decided is that we will likely not do finisher medals for Ralph's Run. Instead, we'll have everybody gets one gimme, and we're looking at kind of a 3 or 4 year arc, since the race is in winter anyway. Like 1 year you get a hat, next year it'll be a scarf, another year it'll be mittens, that kind of a thing, and it'll be ORRC logo or colors, that kind of a thing, and just kind of it be a multiple year theme that we're going to go with that. We also, Bonnie and I talked a little bit about medals, and this is a whole nother discussion, but there was a time when if you did a run, you got a shirt. It was the expectation. The shirt was included in the fee, but at a certain point races started to get too expensive. And not everybody had enough shirts. I don't want another shirt. So shirts became optional. And I am thinking, Bonnie had discussed this a little bit, and maybe another day, a future meeting, we could discuss the idea that maybe it's time that way for medals, that there's some, if you want a medal, you pay extra kind of a thing as far as an option. Because some people absolutely love getting a finisher medal, and other people, they toss it in a drawer and forget about it. And so maybe what we did with shirts, optional, that medals could also be that. But I think at this point, I'll leave that up to individual race directors to decide what is best for their race. But I think that's a worthy discussion to have down the road. So, questions about Ralph's Run?
You've got a beautiful new logo.
Isn't it nice? And there's just I'm working on the story. I've shared those some of you or not, but the story, it's like if I get this, because I'm gonna get it wrong, and I'm talking to Carol to get it right. But Ralph's father, or his foster father, anyhow, worked for the railroad, so it was kind of like, there's a natural connection there. And then that's where I got, I abbreviate everything. I wrote RR, Ralph's Run, and said, oh, railroad, and his father worked for the railroad. And then of course on there you'll notice the flowers, which are forget-me-nots. To remember Ralph, and of course he had memory issues towards the end of his life, and so not this year, but I think in future years when I have more time to prepare, we'll connect to that, the Alzheimer's Association or something like that to connect to that as well, in honor of Ralph.
When you do, Mark, I've got a connection here of someone I know who's does a lot of fundraising, or who's done a remarkable job of fundraising. So I can get you connected up with her.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Award banquet, we have a location. It's going to be at the Willow Creek Center off of PCC Willow Creek Center off of 185th. It's right on the light rail line, so that's going to be set. We just have to order the food. There just is a limit of 100 people, so we need to make that clear in the announcements, which we have, that the registration is open. And we have most of the award recipients ready to go. So we will actually invite them to attend. So for free.
The club awards?
I think, did you send that out?
I sent them all out.
Julie sent you a list of all of the award recipients with the exception of the participation
award and the
and the
volunteer award.
volunteer, because we still have like 2 more events, but all the other ones have already been finalized based on everything that's happened. So we were hoping, I don't think it needs board approval for this listing of award recipients, but it would be kind of nice to know that everybody approved of our recommendations. Did anybody get a chance to look at that list?
Yes, I read through it. And it looks good to me. So
Any other comments from people who saw the list? Okay, so we will go through and start ordering those awards, plaques and stuff, and inviting those people to the awards banquet in January. Okay, Hag Mud. Is anybody here from Hag Mud? I don't think there is. Okay.
I think so. I talked to Ryan.
Ryan,
I'm so
okay.
bad at his name. I talked to, we had a conversation a couple weeks ago, just to kind of get him up to speed on how things have been and all that kind of stuff. And he's already started the permit with the Rangers at Hag Lake. So the process has begun. The registration is open. So things are on track for that for Hag Mud.
Okay. Did we want to, last year they did a live stream like they did at Vernonia. Were they planning on doing that again?
I do not know. We didn't talk about that, so I do not know.
Okay, we will send and I'll contact them and ask if they're going to do that. Shampooey. Valerie, welcome.
Howdy. So I'm, I offered to do this with Mark and Helen, thinking like Helen and I can take it over next year. I have not been able to get a hold of Helen. I've emailed her 4 or 5 times. I've texted her and I've called her. So I'm not sure what to do at this point. We need to get, registration up and get working on things. So Bonnie suggested maybe I get a hold of the Takazawas and see if they're interested in helping me because we worked together before.
So they've done it before. If you're willing to work with them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if someone's got a better, I think Shannon's on my Facebook, so I can try to message her that way. I don't have her contact information, but yeah, because I can't do it by myself. I'll just put it.
Yeah, I'm surprised because when Helen first volunteered,
she was very enthusiastic, so I don't know.
She was doing stuff for Hag Mud too, and I hope nothing's happened where she's kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to reach out to her too and see if she's still doing it.
So I guess the Mark
Val,
could.
I was just going to break in here real quick and let you know that if there's something that falls apart, let me know. I'll see what I can do to help you.
Okay.
Same here.
Yeah, like Mark, I thought maybe you could help me get the the run sign up stuff going, or somebody could do that. That's the important thing right now. And then I'll go through the list and get ahead of the permits. And I did happen to run into the local Boy Scout troop and talk to the troop leader for some volunteers, but that's as far as I've gotten.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely help you get run sign up set up. If you just want to confirm the prices, if you take a look at it, we just need to make sure that when we turn it on, that all the prices are accurate.
Okay, and where would I find that? Like, we could talk later.
Why don't we meet on a virtually? We'll take this off at a side meeting somewhere.
Yeah, let's do that with maybe Mark, and we could kind of do that. Anyway, okay, sounds good.
Vernonia, Mark.
Registration is up for the marathon, half marathon, and marathon relay. I've not checked. Jeff was going to set up the registration for the teams. The relay is just a bit tricky. Jeff was going to set that up. He may have done it already, but I haven't checked. But at least word's getting out about it, and it's way early to get 4 people to commit for something like that. But I expect that the relay to be a good boost to the event. Live streaming, We did it last year, and it was free because we were like supposed to be like the demo event to show what could possibly happen. So I I sent around the analytics. The guy that did it, said if you I assume you all at least had a chance to look at that, as far as how many people were reached all over the world and all that kind of thing. And I don't know. It comes down to my mind, cost benefit. I don't know. This year it was free. Next year, I do not know what he's asking to charge, and I think that'd be a key factor. I remember hearing a number. I could be wrong, but a figure of $5,000.
That number sounds familiar to me too.
And that for $5,000, to my mind, there's not enough benefit to justify that expense.
No, not
So,
really. So
if he's willing to do it free, absolutely. If he's willing to do it for a reasonable number, less than $5,000, I would give it some serious thought. If it's going to be 5K, I would say no. It's the cost benefit is not worth it.
How many runners do you get?
Well, that's just, in terms of, participants?
Yes, paying people.
550, I want to say, thereabouts, 550 between the half and the full.
So streaming effectively costs you $10 a runner.
Yeah, $10 a runner.
I don't know if I would want to spend an extra $10 for that feature. So
no, and the thing it is too, that they had Karen and Stephen hosted a post-race watching of the highlights from the streaming, and they had like 6 or 10 people show up. So maybe it's so to my mind,
would you contact him and ask him, because if we're thinking about doing it for Hag Mud, if we're doing 2 events, would he possibly give us a discount for doing multiple events?
Yeah, I'll ask him.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send him an email.
Okay.
But
Cool.
if it's all right.
Okay, 1200 Club, Julia. 1200 Club is, I shut down the registration for 2023. Registration for 2024 is ready to open on the 17th, I think, or the 14th. I can't remember what date I put. So it's ready to go. I adjusted the website just a little bit. So now we have, I put some pictures in there, and I also added everyone who's completed 1200 miles since its inception. Mark, you're on that list. I'm on that list.
1 year. I'm off.
Tracy missed 1 year. She's off. So there's 30.
missed 1 year.
That's right. You're off. And what I'd like to do is start
By 2 miles. Could I have a mulligan or something?
because I had to hop on a treadmill on December 31st and walk miles. But anyway, I've also wanted to start ordering some medals, generic, not your specific, for people who completed 5 years and people who completed 10 years. And I would that'd be something that they achieved. I would send extras. They would set incentive to keep doing it. So I'd like to order medals to do that. Other than that, everything's ready to go. It's gonna be free this year. We're taking off. It's gonna be a member benefit. It's not gonna be a charge.
We didn't have any non-members do it, so.
Bravo, bravo.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna back up a little bit and go to the treasurer's report. And Valerie had sent me some stuff, and then I forwarded it very late to you guys.
Yeah, read through it. Yep.
Go for it now.
Okay, so cash we have in checking, $46,639. I'm rounding here. Wells Fargo savings, we have $162,665 dollars, and that's one where once we get with our investment person, we get, or I think we need to do some shopping around, because and that'll be a future discussion, but I'm going to look for other banks than Wells Fargo, because they've been,
Oh my God, yes.
I have still not been able. I am going to tomorrow. I finally, after the 3rd person, am going to be able to just cancel Steven's credit card. This was supposed to have been handled in July or beginning of August.
Yeah,
Went to
in
the
August.
bank,
We all
and that
went.
person didn't do it. I went and spent over an hour with another person, and then I called to find out what was going on, and was told, oh, they quit. So it's been a nightmare.
We need to switch banks.
So I'm looking for a bank where there are plenty of locations. I called On Point because I know they've got some really nice interest rates on their savings and CDs, and the lady I talked to didn't know, so someone's getting back to me tomorrow, supposedly, if a nonprofit could have an account there. So I'll follow up on that.
Yeah.
And so we have just over 329,000 total on the P&L. The only thing I wanted to point out, it shows that we're almost $35,811 or $812 in behind right now, but I just wanted to point out that last year it was over 48,000. So because of turkey trot, it's a little misleading on that one. And then the races themselves, I'm just going to focus on Garlic Festival. We lost about $3,600, but we made it through that one. And then Best Damn Run, we made it $793. So we were in the,
Wow.
Cool.
For the food, we just got to stop catering food. That's
Yeah, and if we wouldn't have done
Yeah.
that, we would have been right in that couple $1,000 range, probably
Yeah.
where we want to be.
Yeah.
And then Dual we've got $817 in, and then Turkey Trot we've got over 23,000. I wrote that down too. This time last year they had gotten just over 21,000 in race fees collected for Turkey Trot. So it's kind of an indicator that we're on track, which is good. Because every day I swear I get a new Turkey Trot local around me email. So I'm glad to see that there's still people registering.
there'll be a big push before the price goes up again in the month. Okay. Cool. Anybody have any questions for Valerie? Great. Okay, moving right along. Okay, the big discussion. We had a lot of talk last month and a lot of feedback. We posted a question to the Facebook page and had 61 responses, something like that. It was a lot of responses, and as obviously evenly split. I think there were a lot of people totally gung-ho for cups and a lot of people totally gung-ho for getting rid of the cupless thing. And so that's why we sent out the different options. We tried to think of what the issues were that we heard from participants and volunteers and us as board members and things like that. And the minimally what we need to do is stop calling it cupless, because we're not cupless. There are cups, where it just depends on the type of cup that we're offering and how many we're offering. So, and I honestly am schizophrenic on this. There are days when I think we need to just go all in and do it right, because we've done it, but we haven't done it well enough. And there's things we can do to make it better. And other times I'm thinking, oh, just get rid of it and go with composting cups. And we looked up composting cups and they were, you can get, what was it? We can get an order of 2,000 cups for $193. So it's, to give you some history, we ordered 5,000 silicone cups in February of 22, and we mailed a whole bunch to all the members, and then we have them at the garage where we give them out at events. When people check in, we say, we're cupless, here's a cup, carry it with you, to keep it. And we also have some of those silicone cups at the aid stations. And clearly in some of the instances, we haven't had enough silicone cups at the aid stations because people have run out and they haven't had their own. We also send out the message of, you need to bring your own water vessel or drinking vessel to use to be, so that we can support the environment. So we came up with those different alternatives, and I guess I would like to hear people's thoughts on the different alternatives. I know depending on the day, I'm primarily leaning toward going to just getting rid of the silicone cups, using them all up, giving them away, whatever we need to do, but then going with the composting cups. Margie.
Could I just, yeah, one of the things that I was reading through on those options was then having a volunteer or volunteers collect the silicone cups and then clean them and bring them back. And I was just like, oh, Please, no, no. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I am really solidly behind you on the compostable cups. We might have a larger trash bags, but maybe if you smash them down or whatever. My only concern is, what do we do with compostable cups? Where do we take them afterwards?
Okay.
That is the key thing. I mean, that there needs to be a place that will accept them, and I don't, that's the kind of thing. A cup. I checked pre-pandemic. I did a check on that sort of thing, and that is the hitch. You can do all the compostable things in the world, including utensils and plates and whatever else, but you need to have a place that will accept them. And
So
that
is it are they considered just paper then?
The ones we saw looked more like plastic, and they actually advertised and said that they would melt if it was over 100 degrees. So they break down very easily, I think. Bonnie, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thinking about this and doing some reading and stuff, I know that whatever we decide, somebody's not going to be happy. The fast people are going to want to have a cup sitting there that's already filled for water that they can just drink and drop. And we know that that's not environmentally friendly. But one of the thoughts I had was, instead of the silicone cups that are hard to hold sometimes because they're so floppy and stuff, what if we invested in just some little 6-ounce plastic kitty cups or something that we could have set up there at the aid stations, all filled with water? People can grab one and then they drop it, but we collect them all and we have somebody take them home and wash them and reuse them. So
I would be really skeptical about using a reusable. How well was it cleaned? I'm just OCD, and I don't know how many other people would feel that way. So that's my big concern about someone else being responsible for taking them, cleaning them. Do we have a responsibility for having, I know, like kitchens, if you're wanting to sell food, you have to meet certain criteria, and there's requirements for that. Are there going to be requirements for that kind of thing? I just really am skeptical about us taking ownership of taking cups that someone would be taking them home and washing them. I really am concerned about that.
Valerie?
I wanted to bring up also what Carissa said. When we're at those aid stations, there's one or two of us, and those little silicone are really hard to fill. And I really like the idea of the compostable cups, but also really emphasizing and pushing people to bring their own, reusable things. So we're saying be friendly, and we're trying to get people to do that. But like Margie said last time, the idea of those cups is a good one, but they're just kind of wonky to use. And so I don't think they're quite perfected enough for our purposes yet. So I really like the idea of the compostable ones, but then emphasizing to our runners to please, bring your own water and be environmentally conscious.
I'm gonna be the dumb guy that doesn't know what we're talking about here. I'll be honest with you, I haven't run a race in 4 years. I don't know how it works. Okay, so I've got my little silicone cup. I'm carrying it with me. Now I approach an aid station. What happens? Does somebody fill it up for me, or am I dipping it?
They're filling it up. They have a pitcher of water and they're pouring it in your cup.
Okay.
Which is fine if you're spread out. I think some of the issues might be if you're going for a time, whether you're a fast runner or a slow runner, but you're trying to hit a specific time, and there's a crowd at the aid station, then it becomes a little problematic because you got to slow down, and depending on how you're carrying your cup, get it out and break and stride, things like that. So I know the fast runners probably don't want to deal with it, but trying to have a positive experience for everybody of all levels. Yeah.
There's also, we have some of the spigots. They look kind of like whales, the head of a whale, but they're like a rapid fill spigot where you could do and in big orange jugs. You attach these special spigots and it's rapid fill. It's like whoosh, and it's self-service kind of thing. So that's if you don't want to wait in line to get a picture, those are also an option.
But most of those have broken.
But nobody's dipping their cups in the water, right?
No,
No.
no, no,
No.
no, it's
Worst
not like
case
rock.
scenario, I volunteer at trail runs, and there's a thing called water falling where somebody holds the pitcher above your head and you stand under the waterfall. But anyway,
We had to do that at Garlic for some people who didn't have a cup, and we ran out of cups at the aid station. 'Cause people-
recommended.
Oh.
So I guess I've been one of the big advocates of this, from the beginning, and I've seen it work successfully with trail running. Road running is a different creature. You get faster runners and more runners, and it's the logistics are different.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I guess I don't know. I prefer the middle option. Okay, something like this. Again, like you said, we get rid of the cupless phrase. We say ORRC is committed to being eco-friendly as a cover statement, because that includes a lot of other things too, about the cups. It's composting food waste. It's a whole bunch of different things. But encouraging people to ride share, to carpool. That's another way to be eco-friendly. And so if that becomes a signature thing for ORRC, our goal is to be eco-friendly, recognizing that it's multiple things and it takes time to educate people and for people to change habits. But that's our overall goal. So as a piece of that, we say to people, we encourage you to bring your own drinking vessel, handhelds, whatever, hydration vest, whatever works for you. And if people don't, we provide for them compostable cups. That's again contingent upon a place in the Portland metro area that will accept them, and not just dump them in the trash, kind of a thing. And so over time, we can educate people, encourage more people to bring their own thing to drink out of. Another thing we could do, part of it is education. Part of it is incentivizing it. If there was if we could incentivize somehow, hey, if you come and you have on your hydration vest, you get this thing, whatever it might be, for free or whatever, or we knock, $5 off your entry fee or something like that. This is something we can discuss further. But one way to encourage people to do something is to incentivize it. They get a discount, they get something free if they do that eco-friendly thing. So looking at the three options, for me, the middle option seems the best. What we've been doing hasn't been working for a number of reasons. Completely abandoning it, I don't like that idea.
Right.
There's too many cups in the landfill, but I like the middle approach, which is, hey, we're eco-friendly, we're working on it. It's a process. We're gonna get there. We encourage you to do the right thing, but if you don't, we got you covered. You're not going to go thirsty because you forgot. So I would advocate for the middle approach.
Bonnie?
Couple things. First, on the compostable cups, if that's the route we're going to take, I would suggest that we buy as small as possible. Because a lot of people only take like one sip of water, so we don't have to have a full 8-ounce cup or something like that. The other thing is, Mark and I were talking the other day about coffee at Turkey Trot, and apparently we've never provided that in the past.
Right.
So I was looking at the number of participants for that race, and it's like 2,500 people who do that race. And even if each person just had one cup of coffee or cocoa or whatever, we're looking at thousands of cups for that race. So what do you want to do for that race?
Well, Bonnie, there was a previous time when there was a coffee supplier or a coffee shop actually had a food truck or one of their coffee trucks.
Okay, I looked into some of those mobile food carts or espresso carts.
Yeah.
Problem is, first of all, they charge you like $400 for the first 2 hours.
Wow.
And they can only serve between 50 and 75 drinks an hour. So if we have 2,500 participants, they're not going to be able to keep up, and it's going to be really expensive. So even if we do it ourselves, logistically, I'm looking at, okay, so 2,500 cups of coffee. We have 2 coffee makers that brew 100 cups. That's 20 batches of coffee. And now obviously I'm going to probably have to go rent some more coffee makers, and we're going to have hot water too for cocoa for the kids or whatever. So, but we're still talking, you know, cups. What are we going to do for cups? If we're going to do this, I would suggest we go with the smaller 8-ounce cups instead of the 12-ounce.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, I think it's not worth it.
Right, I agree.
We cannot do this. We,
well,
Because
it's
bring your
already
own coffee.
advertised online that coffee is going to be available. It's going to be
What?
served.
What? Oh
Well,
my.
there's a middle ground. First off, there's 2,500 people, but not everybody's going to be drinking coffee. There, a lot of people
Yeah.
want to bring their own, or go because they want their Starbucks. They don't want their black coffee. So there's that. And 2, they're not all going to be at the same time. And if there's a
Right.
line, you know, I think if what I'm trying to think of, we probably, in my head, I'm thinking no more than 500 cups for
Well,
coffee.
remember, there's going to be people who are going to want it at the beginning when they're checking in registration, and then also after the race. And because we have the kids runs, there's going to be a lot of parents standing around at the finish area waiting for these kids runs to start, and they're all going to want to be drinking coffee, especially if it's cold. I mean, I can see us going through a couple thousand cups of coffee, hot chocolate, or whatever beverages we're providing.
Can you also
Morning
include-
between the start, because I have to have it at both locations. I have to have it at the registration
No.
ticket, and then also the finish.
So
I
can
don't-
you have for one of the like maybe at the beginning, it's coffee we make and supply, and then maybe just go to, you know, Starbucks has those giant things and they provide the cups and everything.
Those
So-
things aren't that giant. They only hold like 20 cups.
The big ones, those
I mean, I
I've
haven't
had
seen those ones.
big
but-
ones at like events. They're like, not, I know you're talking about the boxes, but I think they have real big ones too.
Yeah, they
Oh,
have
I
the
don't- I
very
don't
large.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have dispensers.
I think we don't need
See
them.
what they have.
I don't think you need them at both locations. I think it would be either at the start or the finish. I don't think you need both. And I think if we just modify the wording on the website, if it's there, just say coffee and while supplies last, and then if
Just
we run
have it at
out,
the beginning,
fine.
maybe.
But I think a lot of people are going to just say, I'm going to bring my own coffee. And those who don't, it's like, you didn't show up in time to get some, sorry.
Why don't you serve coffee after the race instead of before?
Yeah.
Well, so one of the other things I have to do is I'm meeting with the person at the zoo this Friday to check out both locations, because I don't know if there'll be power and water at the finish line area where we can even make coffee.
Yeah, because usually we've had tables before and not real.
Yeah.
So
I want to bring up something negative here, but sometimes a venue like the zoo requires that you use their catering, and that might include coffee.
their coffee,
Never
they don't have
has in
food
the
service
past.
going on that day.
Yeah, if they were open, then yes, we'd have to use theirs, but because they're actually closed, there won't be anything that we have to purchase there. Yeah. I mean, and I'm not opposed to wherever it says it on the website, taking it down, saying
No coffee.
no coffee, based on circumstances, we are going to be not able to provide coffee.
Where does it say we do promise coffee? Oh, I see. On Run Sign Up. It's not on the ORRC site. It's on the Run Sign Up page.
I
Under
don't
certain
think
food.
we'll say, I'm not coming because you're not providing coffee.
Yeah.
Let's hope not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd say let's revise the run sign up and say no coffee at this point.
I think we should still look at it for smaller event. Turkey Trot is just a completely big,
Right, it's
unique,
different beast. Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, but something like, like Vernonia, I could definitely see if we had, a couple pots of coffee
Yeah.
kind of thing. For Vernonia, that would be more realistic, I think.
Yeah.
For the terms of numbers and all that. So
Yeah.
you still bring, the issue of, cups and all that, but
Yeah, so I would say don't do coffee and not worry about it because we have other things to worry about.
Okay.
Yeah.
We considered it. I mean, we consider. I think it was a worthy thing to consider. So,
Especially this year when we want to make sure we do things correctly, and
Yeah.
simpler is probably better.
You know,
So-
and for the
Okay,
coffee,
so we should decide on coffee.
for
Was
the
that-
coffee truck, for the coffee van that we had there a couple times, it was organizations that wanted to promote themselves. I don't remember us paying anything to have coffee in like a coffee truck or something. The few times that I remember it being there. So anyway,
We need to vote on.
Okay,
the,
so we
thing.
need to get back to the different policies about cups then and what we want to do. So do we need to, before we make a decision, figure out the composting where, if they're acceptable in the Portland area before we actually make a decision?
I think that would be helpful.
So we'll research that.
Okay, so we'll research that and bring it back to the board meeting next month and everybody be prepared to vote with the final information on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the wonderful discussion on that. All very good input. Elections. We have a process and we have candidates and it's moving forward. I'm so excited. The only one, Kim Kovacs, has withdrawn her name, but we still will have 13 people on the ballot. So thank you all who have agreed to run and join. The way it's going to work, and I had thought of this and then I didn't worry about it. And then Carissa brought it up. So I thought we need to talk about it maybe. Basically what we're going to do, this is a form that we're going to turn on. So we're going to send an email with a link to the form to all current members of ORRC. We'll do that on Monday, December 4th. And there'll be instructions that say follow this link, go to the form, fill it out, and submit it. The form tracks the responses for us. So we don't have to do any counting. It's already calculated when they submit it. And so we'll be able to see each person's name. We tested it. So if there are 100 votes and Valerie gets 75 votes, she'll have a 75% next to her name. So it calculates a percentage of votes that she gets of all the votes cast. And so that's how it would work. We will then manually turn off the form at midnight on Friday, December 9th, 8th. Monday through Friday is going to be the dates of the election. And so when we turn it off, we'll just say they're not accepting. People can try to vote, but it won't allow you to submit a form after we turn it off. And then we'll have the complete results. The concern is, do we want somebody who is not on the board or running to be on the board, turning on and off and monitoring the results? I don't mind doing it, but I'm on the ballot. And so it can be you don't really want something
interest.
monitoring a conflict of interest. Hey, I'm going to control the vote.
Deleting the responses.
Deleting the responses, the ones I don't
And
like.
you don't want the appearance of a conflict of interest.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
Here's where my expertise can come into play. This is something I do as a notary, actually, validate elections. Now I can't do it, but I have, because I'll be on the ballot too, but I believe I could probably find somebody impartial to do that for us and make sure that that is done. And so, yes, we could get somebody to do that if you'd like, and I can find somebody who is a officer of the court that has been endorsed by some state in the United States that would be willing to do that for us.
Well, I'm a notary in California.
Well, that would work if you're not on the ballot. Are you going to be on the
You're
ballot?
on the ballot. Is Karen on the ballot?
Am I on the ballot? I don't even know.
Oh, no, she's not. Oh, no, you're not. Karen,
Okay.
If you're not on the ballot, then you could absolutely do it.
I mean, I can't do much from San Francisco, so whatever I can do.
California training is more intense than Oregon. So yeah, if you're not on the ballot, I would say let's just do that. Have her do it.
Okay. So basically, we'll get together, Karen, and discuss how the
Okay.
process kind of works. So you can turn it on and send I think.
Yeah.
I probably have to send the link, because I want it to come from the president's email address, but then you can turn it on and off and monitor the results and stuff. Bonnie.
Okay.
Yeah, I just would like to suggest that sometime in November, that you send a message out to everybody and say, make sure you're registered as a member if you want to vote in next month's elections.
Yes, that is going to happen. We're going to send out a newsletter to not only members, but to everybody in our database. So that they will know and they can get just reminding people to make sure their dues are up to date, so they can get a ballot. So only those who are current members will get a ballot.
So do you want us to send bios and pictures?
Daniel, we already have yours because you gave it for the website. So it's just we have your photo and
yeah, we have them for everybody.
I think we have them for everybody on the ballot. Yeah. And so what we're going to do, we actually are going to have a specific website on our page on our website that has everybody's picture and bio on it. And in that newsletter, we're going to say, in the one that's coming out actually this week, we have a meet the candidates thing saying these are all the people who volunteered to run for the board. And their pictures and bios are going to be in the newsletter, and then it'll also direct them to the website if they want to look at them there as well. So everybody will see how many people, who's running.
Okay, so this is just picking nits here, but a bio to me is different than a candidate statement.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we're running for an office, we should be providing a candidate statement. But, or we can default to our bios. Should be have it. I mean, I just got in the mail today a ballot for my union, and every member put a candidate statement in place, and I'm reading it right now while we're talking, and I'm going to vote today. So I don't know if that's something, but I would like to. I mean, I kind of feel it's different saying here's who you are, but here's why you want to run. I think there's two different things.
Okay.
My thought.
Okay, Joe.
Maybe I missed this, but is there going to be a general call for other people that might want to run?
Yes.
Also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. In the article, we're saying that if you would like to run, or if you would like to nominate someone to run, first of all, they have to be a current ORRC member and they have to be willing to serve.
Right.
And they need to get their names with their picture and bio, or if you want a ballot statement. I
think we've started by mid-November.
By mid-November, so we have time to get everything up there before the ballots actually go out. So we're inviting that, and then we also did add back in the option of a write-in candidate on the ballot. So if people don't see anybody on the ballot, so if people don't see anybody they like, they can write in the new members before you can write their name in. We looked at the bylaws, and the current bylaws, and the way to be elected, you can't just have one vote and be elected to the board. You have to have 50% of the number of ballots cast in order to be elected. So, and I don't think that's going to be a problem for anybody. I think everybody's going to go check everybody off down the line, honestly. But that was my concern with write-ins, is if we have people write in Santa Claus 5 times, or somebody who we know doesn't want to serve, they'd have to get 50% numbers to get elected.
Good. Okay, thanks.
And I would say, go ahead, and when you see I don't know if it's up yet, but if it's not up yet, the newsletter is going to go out by this Friday. And if you want to change what's on there for your bio to make it more of a statement, let us know, or let Carissa go to the web content. You can email to web content and say, please change this. Add this statement instead of replace the bio or something like that, if you want to do that. Bylaws. The other part of the election is the bylaws, what's happening with that right now is Carissa is working on the bylaws. And Carissa, you want to just kind of say what's going on with that?
Sure. I am kind of rewriting a draft of the bylaws based on sample bylaws from the ORRC, just because those are of a good standard format that we know is going to be clean and going to be legal. And Yeah, I'm just taking that and looking at what ORRC's intention was in the bylaws and merging those two things. Trying to fill in some gaps where things weren't clear. For example, didn't say that members had the right to vote, and we want that to be in there probably. I'm trying to get this first draft finished in the next couple of weeks so that we have an opportunity to have maybe a Q&A. I don't know, Tracy, if it should be like just open to the board or open to anybody, but you know, we can figure out, schedule a time so people can ask questions. Our RCA is also, I've talked to Jean Cannat. She's willing to be a resource for me if I just want to have, if anyone has questions about like the legal language that goes in there. So the idea is oh, nice echo. The idea would be that we would have the board vote to approve the bylaws by the November board meeting, correct?
Yes.
And the approval by the board then means that we put that on the ballot for the voters to ratify. And once it's ratified, then they become our new bylaws. Did I miss anything?
Nope. And what I would hope to do is, if we can approve a draft at the November meeting, then we can put something on the website in addition to all the list of candidates that are on the ballot. We would have an explanation of, here's a link to the old minutes, the old bylaws. Here's a link to the draft bylaws that you're going to be voting to approve. Here's what the main differences are and why we're doing them. So an explanation of why they're voting on what they're voting.
Yeah, good.
So
Yeah.
that's the plan. Any questions on that? Okay, cool. Moving on then. Pay it forward fund. Mark, you had brought that up, right?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about this. There's a couple ways to do this. One, which is I've seen some event companies do, which is when you sign up to volunteer, you're given a choice. $50 discount on a future race, $50 to donate to a local charity, typically a local high school cross country team, something like that, or third, to donate it to a fund to give back to people. And that's one model. And that for people to formally set up a fund within ORRC that we, then I'm calling it the Pay It Forward Fund, just because the best name I come up with, with that option. So when people do sign up to volunteer, they can, $50 off a race, cool. But hey, I don't need it, so I'm going to give it back to the clubs. They give it to somebody else. Plus, it would be sort of an open fund, anyways. It's anytime somebody just wanted to donate to this fund, they could donate. So that'd be, sort of a formal way of doing it with an actual designated fund. It could also be something quite informal. I know of race directors that, excuse me, simply put on their website, say, hey, we want people to run. If you can't afford it, let me know and I'll make it happen. And it's done, informally, kind of a thing, where, so there's a whole spectrum there of what we could do. I guess I'd just like to see something more formal, just because it becomes a signature thing for the club.
My one question, Mark, would be
Yes.
in Pay It Forward Fund would be one of those areas that, such as Val would need to save out as one of those items in our financials. Would that be correct?
Yes, it would be an account within our, within the
Yeah,
budgeting and all.
I don't think that's a big.
Yeah. So how are you, I guess I'm asking if, when we have people renew their membership, if we could put a feature where if they're willing to give another $5 to help fund this.
Exactly. And I think
That's a good idea.
It would come with, like a sort of mission statement, the idea that ORRC wants to be welcoming to people who, I'm going to say this badly, but, ORRC wants to welcome people, to the running to our events, you know, specifically LGBTQ, BIPOC, high school students, you know, people who, you know, who we don't see a lot of, and we want to see more of you, kind of a thing. So it would come with a welcoming message to people who might want to get money from this fund, but also for people who want to give to the fund, to know what is it for. I mean, you know, it's to, this road running is a very white middle class sport, and you know, it's largely for, I think, economic reasons, because I mean, you know, but if it's a way of being more welcoming and getting more diversity, I think that's a good thing, you know, in diversity in all ways.
Bonnie?
Yeah, I was just wondering how our registration and volunteer platform would handle this kind of a thing. Because like as it is right now, when people, they sign up to volunteer for a race, so you get a list of volunteers and then somehow they get emailed a code they can use for future events. But we've also talked in the past about when people go to register for a race, sometimes maybe we want to have a charity associated with that race, and we want to be able to ask people when they're registering, would you like to donate a certain amount or your own amount to a certain charity? Because I know, like for Mark and I, with Ralph's Run now, sometime once we get this figured out, I think it would be great if we could, if people who sign up for the race could have an option right there when they register to donate to the Alzheimer's Association or something. So I think, you know, we need to look at how this can all be worked out within our registration platforms and stuff.
I'm pretty sure there's a way to do that in Run Sign Up. I don't know how to do it, but I think there is a way to do it. So I guess what I would suggest is I get the impression that we're all kind of in favor of doing something like this. We just need to work out the logistics of it and how it would work. So I would say, does someone want to volunteer to take on researching that as a project and kind of bring back a proposal for how it would work at the next meeting?
My idea, I'll do it. Okay.
In between Turkey Trot and Ralph's Run. Do you have time, Mark? Do you have time, Mark? I mean, it's not something that has to be right away. It's something we can implement anytime. So it's not like it has.
Yeah. Okay. If it's ready for Ralph's by the time of Ralph's Run, then that'll be, you know, soon enough.
Okay.
So yeah, I suggested that I should take it on.
Okay. Free or discounted rate for high school students.
I think it falls under the same category.
Okay.
It's an underrepresented group, so that would fall under the PIF. Okay. So
I also feel like that's a race director's prerogative thing too.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We used to do that for Wildwood. That was the thing we did for Wildwood, specifically had the high school discount kind of a thing. So
Blackwood's cross country was a buck a runner if they're from a college or high school cross country team.
Yep.
Okay, next item, generic awards for ORRC events. And we talked about this at the race director meeting, and we saw it in action at the park runs. We volunteer for Park Run, which is a free 5K every Saturday, all over the world, all over the US. And they have it where somebody who's doing their 10th event or their 25th, their anniversary events or their first event, they have a sign. Some have signs, some have sashes, but the sign just says my first run or my first 10K or my first ORC event or something like that. Or they have a sash that says my 10th run or my 25th run.
And we just take a picture.
And you just take a picture of it. So we're not actually giving them anything except that we would give them recognition at the event. We can take the photo, put it on our website. We can send the photo to them. So they would have something to kind of remember their first one. So it's kind of a nice little way to recognize people. It would just be something we could have at the finish line, so they can have a big finish arch there and have the sign or the sash or whatever it is that we do, and then take their picture. And I thought that would be a neat way to do it. I know we talked about handing out medals and stuff, but I think this would be kind of a less expensive way and an easier thing logistically to kind of just remind people, hey, if you have if this is an anniversary run of some kind or your first of some kind, let us know and we have the appropriate. Bonnie?
Bonnie,
Yeah.
go,
Okay.
Bonnie, go.
So I was at a race one time where some people were doing their very first half marathon or marathon, and they were given a special bib that they could wear that said my first, and then it could be 5K, 10K, half marathon or whatever. And the idea about having them wear that while they're out there on the course is that everybody comes up to them and gives them encouragement and congratulates them and stuff. And then at the end, it's something they can take home with them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's something that would be easy to print up generically, that would not cost a lot of money. And we would just have them available at registration, maybe with a little sign or something that says, if this is your first 5K, 10K, whatever, take one of these bibs, put it on, and let us support you on your run.
What,
So they
I
have
like that.
bib
would
numbers.
there
One-
be any issues with the bib number for
It
that?
doesn't have a number on it. It
No,
doesn't
they have two bib numbers, one that says my first and one that
Oh,
has.
okay. And then they have the official bib. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and then
That's
you
a
could
pretty
put
cool
the,
idea.
you could write
Yeah, I
on the
like it.
date, you could write on the name of the race. People could sign it for them.
Oh, I like
Well,
that.
and people are, people tend to be encouraging, and that's a way to
Mhm.
make it real
Yeah.
easy to see. And
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I was thinking a sash, what after maybe
Sash.
10 of those, they might look kind of
I
worn.
was going
Well,
sign.
I'm going sign. We
I
saw
was thinking
sign.
sign, but yeah, whatever. No, I love the bib idea. I think that's a great
Yeah.
idea. Just create a bunch of generic ones for the different distances we have.
Who's going to do that?
Well, Bonnie brought it up.
Well, I can look at designing them. I've never ordered bibs, so I don't even know where you get them from.
Ordering bibs is easy. Bonnie, let's you and I do
Marathon
that together.
Pretty.
Mark and Bonnie will take charge
Mark
of
and
that.
I'll do it.
Okay.
So
The
yeah,
other-
Bonnie, you work on the design, and we'll work together. I've worked with Marathon Printing, so we'll do that together.
And Bonnie, I think Ken would, now that he's retired, would be willing to help you a little with that design if you know what you want on it.
Okay, well, I've, the orc logo and maybe something else or something.
Yeah,
Well,
so if you
I'll-
kind of
I'll
said,
check
"Oh, I
with
want
him.
this," he could probably make it look pretty for us.
Okay, all right, thanks.
The other generic award that we thought of was whoever gets last place. And we thought of different names of it. I'm settling in on a caboose simply because what we could do is you can buy little toy cabooses, and then whoever's last, give them this as they cross the finish line. So something's kind of special. And it's just kind of a way to recognize that those who are out there the longest also deserve some recognition.
I
They're
like
probably
that.
going to be getting some type of age group award or something like that. So we really like, it's unique. It's not a medal or anything. It's just something kind of unique that you got this little caboose, and they can collect them if they are consistently last at a lot of our events. But and we even thought of at the end of the year at the awards ceremony saying this person got the
Most caboose awards.
caboose awards or something like that,
So I just want to mention, there's like on Facebook, there's this group, there's a couple slow running groups now,
Yeah.
and one is slow AF.
Slow-
yeah.
These people post really
Yeah, I saw the yeah.
But the whole gist of it is like, it's just that you're out there, and they just put these supportive things about being at the end of the pack.
Yeah.
So I think it's great to start promoting that.
I know, I agree with recognition. I don't want to feel like the old curmudgeon here, but if I'm last place, I don't want to attract any attention to it. So I'm gonna quietly get to the finish line and get to my car. Up there.
Well, you have the option to accept the caboose or not.
Or not. You can decline it.
They have, I mean,
Daniel,
Can
you
make
got
it a
to
golden-
embrace it.
Embrace it, Daniel.
Can you make it a golden caboose? So you
Yes,
have
we can. We can do whatever we want.
You still have your caboose off the couch, and that's what matters.
That's right.
I feel like that one could backfire on you, but
I'll bet they'll love it.
Daniel, I've seen it at other races, and it's totally embraced.
Mhm.
I was at the volcanic run, 25K trail run, and what's interesting is the person got a first and a last. The same person. They were the
What?
first non-binary person to cross the finish line, but they were also the last person to cross the finish line. So they got a first and a last at the same time.
Cool.
So, and I just, most people embrace it, you know.
Okay, well, we will come up with some type of special golden caboose or something like that to give to people at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
And we can give her the first time for Ralph's Run, which has the train logo, so it'll all just be a nice
Yes,
natural.
it'll be appropriate for the train railroad crossing logo. And so there'll be three, one for the 5K, one for the 10K, and one for the 20.24.
Well, I think it should just, no, I just should give one. Who's last? Last.
Who's last in the 5K, who's last in the 10K, who's last in the
Yeah.
20?
How you gonna tell? How you gonna tell? 'Em? I guess you can.
Yeah.
Plus sweepers.
Be sweet. Yeah, you do it. All right, cool. All right, topics for the next board meeting. We're going to do the dual recap just to think about these things, upcoming events, and the election update. And the next meeting is composting. We're going to vote on the eco-friendly cup policy, whatever we decide on. And the next meeting is Tuesday, November 14th. Remember that?
Am I gonna be doing a strategic planning session?
We can put that on the calendar. Yeah, we can put that on the agenda.
Very well.
Okay, strategic planning session. Okay, that is.
Put it at the end of the agenda, so it'll be at the caboose.
I need it 30 minutes. So if we don't have time, we'll have to do it later.
No, we have something. We can also do it at the December meeting if we need to. Cool. Anything else for the good of the order? Thank you, folks, for sticking around. All right, then I will say that we are adjourned, and we will see you. We'll see a lot of you this weekend.
All right,
Yes.
look forward to it.
Buy cake.
We're
Right.
buying cake. Yes.
Hmm.
All right.
Hey, everyone.